welcome to Full Circle 2023. Thanks everyone for coming. This is our 6th year doing Full Circle. I see some familiar faces. I think Delmi was one of our first speakers in 2018. She's been able to join us today again from Honduras. For everyone this is anyone's first Full Circle. Full Circle is our annual event connecting producers with roasters in our supply chain. It's an opportunity to network, to share some knowledge, but also celebrate all the wonderful people working in coffee that we're fortunate enough to build relationships with. We have a fantastic day ahead of us. We've got 5 presentations from our wonderful key speakers. We're going to bookend these with some coffee tastings, some lunch, and we'll finish the day with drinks and food at Jack's Bar. So I'm hoping everyone can join us for the whole day. The presentations will last for about 30 minutes. We'll have about 15 minutes for a Q&A at the end of each presentation. So if you do have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. There are notepads and pens on the side here, so help yourself. If you want to make notes, we've got water on the tables as well. Everyone should have a name badge. We've colour-coded these this year because we're lucky enough to have people visiting from coffee-producing countries. So all DR Wakefield staff, which includes myself, Jamie, Henry, Phil, whose birthday it is today actually. So let's give a little round of applause for Phil's birthday. We've got Simon in the audience as well, Fride, Jordanis, Isa, James. We're all wearing red name badges. All our presenters and people joining us from coffee producing origins have green name badges, and any roasters in the audience will have a blue name badge. So please feel free to say hello to each other, spark up a conversation. After the talks, we'll be moving you across the hall to a cupping space. When we come back into the room, I think it would be nice if we find a new place to sit. So maybe we have a new person next to us. So try and mix it up in between the sessions and just say hello to each other. Before we start, I just want to say a few thank yous. Firstly, to all of our speakers, thank you so much for coming and far and wide to join us for today. We've got Cocarive from Brazil, Copidota from Costa Rica, Canini from Rwanda, the British Coffee Association, Racafe in Colombia. Thanks so much for joining us. It's going to be a really good day. Thank you as well to Mr. Ian and the Trading Post for donating the coffee, for keeping us energised throughout the day as well. We really appreciate the donation. And thank you to everyone else. Without you coming, we wouldn't be able to do this. Full Circle seems to get bigger every year, and it's so nice to be back in person for a second year. So yeah, have a great day. If anyone's got any questions, find me or any of the DR Wakefield team. And it's with pleasure I'll pass you on to our first speaker, Baba from Cocarive. So please give us a round of applause and welcome Baba.
So, good morning. First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for Wakefield and the audio to invite us to show a little bit about Cocarive, Brazil, especially and Mantiqueira de Minas region. So I am Baba. So my name is Wellington, but everyone calls me as Baba. I am working coffee for 22 years, born in a farm producers, and always working in specialty coffee. It's a pleasure for us introducing Cocarive, introducers our producers in Mantiqueira de Minas, and I hope you like the presentations. So, Mantiqueira de Minas is one denomination of origin area based in Minas Gerais state. It's the biggest producing area in Brazil, but it's on the mountain. Mantiqueira de Minas crying in an indigenous name is the mountain that is crying because there are a lot of springs, there are a lot of water in the Mantiqueira de Minas region. It's one of the most biggest mountain in Brazil, born in Rio de Janeiro, passed in Minas Gerais, and the end in São Paulo. So 3 states for one mountain, but the biggest area for producing coffee is Mantiqueira de Minas. It's the complete mountain topography. It's very rich soil, very red soil, and the rainfall is distributed all the year. So rain is very important for the Mantiqueira de Minas region, as we are on the high places, very high acidity. So the water is changing the quality of the acidity, sweetener, or more aggressive or astringent. So it's very important. So back for 2002, we started the geographical indication for the Mantiqueira de Minas. So we mapping all the area on the Mantiqueira to study, for we have some denomination of origin, and prove it to the customers that Mantiqueira de Minas has the unique profile, unique flavor that you can't find any other place in Brazil. So 2011, we have the first geographical indication seal, that is the certification for the mountain. And in 2021, like 2 years ago, we get the denomination of origin. What this means, like you can see that the ball on the logo was the red one, was when we started the study, geographical indication study, and then now is the yellow one. Why we changed this? Because after they studied, proved to us that in Mantiqueira de Minas, the best qualities came from the yellow varietals. So this was very important to us. What is the way that we should move it for the future with producers, like change varietals and the renovation some areas to improve the quality as well. So in what we found behind the study. So this is some notes that we found during the study, for sure that have many other ones, but the main profile that we found was caramel chocolate ripe fruits. But the most important to us in Mantiqueira is the acidity. It's very citric, high, intense, and crisp, and the aftertaste is so sweet. So the annual precipitation, I'm showing you the annual precipitations just to, in the future slides, so you're gonna compare with how was the result and behind the quality as well. So take notes in 2014 that we have one of the worst rainfall in Brazil, and this affects a lot the quality in Mantiqueira. But the median rainfall is around 1,500 meters, 1,600 meters per year. That is very good. So this is some of productions into Mantiqueira. That is, we have around the 48,000 hectares. So its new area is 6,000 hectares. So we are moving to 54,000, 55,000 hectares in Mantiqueira de Minas region. We work with 80,000 farmers in one small region for 23 seats. So the produces is 1.1, 1.3 million bags in the denomination of origin area. So this is very important to us about the varietals. So the yellow one represent just a short area in the Mantiqueira. So we have a lot of red varieties still. That is something that we are going to education producers to change it, to replant for yellow one. So and we have some new varieties as experimental, like Geisha, Topazio, Aranãs, Acauã, and the Arara is one of the the new varieties that Brazil is planting a lot, that is more productive and a very good quality that we are doing some experimental as well. So my challenge is reduce the red one, increase the yellow one, because we think that just with change varietals, we could improve it more and more, for sure as education as well, but varietals could help us a lot. So the resultant behind the yellow one, this is how many times we was in the Cup of Excellence. So Mantiqueira is one of the most award regions in Brazil for Cup of Excellence. We won many times since 2011 until last year. So we have 358 times into the auction. So it's many time winners. That is the producers' focus in Mantiqueira was producers very special and high quality. Behind the denomination of origin, we have one seal, one tag. This tag, every coffee that we export to the partners, so we fix that tag on the bags. What this means, we have 100% traceability about the coffee that you have it in your roasting. If you tracing the QR code, you can have information where this coffee came from, some pictures, but now we are introducing some new informations, that is the GPS coordinations for the farm. So you buy the coffees, but we are going to show you which area this coffee came from on the farm in Mantiqueira as well. And also we have for the roasted packs. So we started some projects to help producers to sell the coffees in internal market. We start in the region very small, much more as education. So we want to education because Mantiqueira is a very tourist place, so is there a lot of people coming from the big cities to visit Mantiqueira, and we want them to have some special coffee as well. So we started some roasted packs as a education to them. And so some things that producers are doing for like doing some tourists in the region. So they are building some cabanas, like some small houses into the coffee areas to receive tourists. They are investing a lot to get some tourists on the farms. And they are doing some visits on the farms, some special coffee speech to them and bringing tourists, and they investing more and more with the farmers. So this is just a time zone like Cocarive. This was one of the first office that we have in Cocarive, was 96-1. So it's a long time ago. So the land Cocarive bought and built, the first warehouse was built in the headquarters. So the second warehouse we had, and in 1984 Cocarive warehouse inauguration, the first event that we had. And this was the first one that nowadays is no work anymore. So for coffee store, we are using more for the sale, for the store. And in 2006, we built a new one. 2007 is the lab. So we was investing on the quality year by year. 2008, and we received the first Cup of Excellence in the region to invest with producers and help and improving. 2012, we did the first Cocarive Special Coffee competition. In 2012 was our first export. Even Cocarive board in 61, where our first export was 2012. And 2014, we ampliated our warehouse. And we have twice record for Cup of Excellence in Brazil. The high score was in 2005 for some pulp natural coffee, 95.85. And the 2014 for the natural, because in the beginning, Brazil did some wash it, the pulp natural and the natural competition separate. Nowadays, it's all together. So in 2014 was the second record we have in the world. And we have our offices, so some good labs. So we invest a lot as like helping producer processing the coffees. Like they harvest the coffee on the farm, bring the samples to us, and we examine the quality and check everything to them to improve the quality. Yeah. So normally producers in Brazil, like at Mantiqueira, they harvest the coffee and they bring the coffee to us at the co-op after they harvest on the farm, just for we check the quality. So they never blended the coffee before we check the quality and to see if it's all okay to bring to the co-op. But where this coffee came from generally in Mantiqueira. So this is our region. So just for you have an idea when we're talking about the mountain, because every time we say Brazilian is a mountain, so Brazilian is the flat region, so Mantiqueira is completely different. This is all the mountain. So when some years ago, like before 2012, most of producers in Mantiqueira did a lot to wash and a lot pulp natural process to control the maturation, because as we are in the mountains, the maturation is not so uniform on that time because we have many times of flower season. So how can we control the green beans? So removing the green beans by machine, like pulping the coffee, and they control more. Nowadays, they are investing a lot in natural process as well because they are doing some selective picking, and they could improve more. After Cup of Excellence 2012, that was the first for the natural, Mantiqueira de Minas discovered more about the natural process, the quality. Before, we just think that the washed coffee was the best quality in Brazil. But we discovered that natural as one has some amazing coffee. And we invested a lot on the office at Cocarive to improve it and help them more about the quality as well. So this is our warehouse, so we have the volume, the capacity for 200,000 bags nowadays, but we are building a new one. So we are the double of the volume for the next year. We should go to 400,000 bags. But what we are doing more, so investing on quality. So our equipments that we have in the Cocarive is for around the 400 bags per hour process. But we are building some new one as well for small lots. For sure, always looking for better and the better improvement and quality. So annual store. So Cocarive, we have since 2011. So was the record we had was in 2013 with 229,000 bags received the stock. These are from producers, from member of Cocarive. So last year we received just 96,000 bags. What makes reduce a lot the volume at the Cocarive was because the weather. Like in 2020, we have the frost in Brazil but The dry climate affected much more the Mantiqueira because we are in the high place. We didn't have a lot of frost in Mantiqueira, but the dry weather is the most problem to us as the volume. So this is very good. Since 2011, when I joined to Cocarive, because I was to Cocarive in 2010, and when we started some export project, I started some study behind the co-op, what we had on hands. Because we didn't know which quality we have, because we didn't have any traceability. I started to do some traceability behind the quality. Look, in 2011, we have almost 57% of our coffees scoring 80 below. And today, we have at least 7% only of our coffees scoring 80 below. What we did? So, education. We educate a lot producers how they could process better coffee, and we investing on them. So we started to sell some better equipments, and we financial them. Because it was important, because if we financial them and help them improving the quality, this should be good to us on the end. And this makes sure us having more volume and more consistent quality as well to be offered to all our partners. So this was our export over the years. So we start in 2012. This is just for special coffee. And when we take a look back, so how can I export 102 if I just received 96,000 bags last year? So we had to get a new members at the co-op, because the co-op work with members and the no members as well. That volume is just for the members. What is our challenge now? So invite and get more members. The reason that we are investing more in the warehouse, because if we look at what producers produce and what we export, we mean like we are sold out, but it's not true, because we have more farmers that is no members that is coming to join us. But we just invited new members if we have space and if we have how we can help them in the best way to process the business. Cocarive exports to around the 30 countries nowadays. Biggest for sure is Europe. So Europe is the biggest one, and Wakefield is for sure is the biggest to us nowadays for special and fair trade as well. The certifications that we do is we focus a lot in organic farms. So the reason that we are doing some new projects at the Mantiqueiras to reduce the chemicals. We have the Brazilian special coffee certification that we prove to the coffee has a nice quality for Brazil, but it's very important to us to focus in Mantiqueira de Minas certification. But what this means, when you buy some Mantiqueira de Minas coffee and you have this tag, you are sure that you are buying the minimal quality score 83. So we are just as tag, like just certified coffees with 83 and up. We don't do any 83 below. So when you see some of this tag, you can make sure that the coffee has great quality. Also, we have the fair trade coffee. So we invest a lot on the small farms. So we work with some fair trade projects. And also we have some women's project behind the fair trade certification called Divas do Café. So we invited main women for fair trade and started some projects for women's coffee as well. This is some of our project at Cocarive. So is the SC Plus project. This is some projects that we believe that will be the future, like less chemical as possible is better. So we are not using chemical in many areas. So we choose it around the 25 farms in Mantiqueira to start this project. So, and we are educating the soil. So we are using just organic on the soil and the biological on the leaves. So the plan has more organic in the future, but at now, less chemicals, not 100% organic, but less chemical as possible. We start this with 3 years ago, and some farms that we make some tests on the soil and the coffee, it's organic already, but we don't have the paper, the certification still. So is another project that we did. So on the presentation, you saw some solar plaques. This is for a social project we started for. We will donate the power, the energy to the hospitals on the region. So, and we get some award for this because we was on the first co-op in Brazil that started this project. So all the powers that we will make on the warehouse, so we are gonna donate to the hospitals on the region. So now, so we are educating the producers how to have more sustainability, like using less plastic as possible into the producers and the workers as well in the Cocarive. So also we have the Day C. This is the project for the world for the cooperatives. That is there one specific day for collaborators with one no-profit company. So, and the ever co-op in Brazil, and I think it's the world, so it's doing some like donations for some institution. So it's very important to us, so we started a long time ago. And also we have some co-op sporters. So we made some meets, some knowledge between different cooperatives that is important to us. We start 2 years ago, and we take all the co-ops in Brazil and do some 1 weekend for sports, practice some sports. Cocarive was the winner last year. And we have also the annual reunion with all collaborators. So not only we work and we do the best to them, but we need to show what we are doing to improve it. So we need to show to producers for makes them more trusting in the way that we are moving. Ours, for sure, listen the ideas that they have, that how can we hope them to improve and better and for them to be surviving. So all right, is it. So I would like to just to show a little bit about Mantiqueira, and so if you have any question, so it would be a pleasure to reply. Thanks so much. Thank you. Yeah.
I'll take that. That's fine. Okay, has anybody got any questions? Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned at the beginning that there's a difference in quality between the red and the yellow varietals. I was just wondering two things really. Whether there's a difference in approach to how you cultivate those varietals and the different challenges, and by extension, why is that? Do you think you researched it?
Yeah. We have a big study behind this with the university in Brazil called the Professor Boreno is the most respected teacher in Brazil for the coffee for sure. And they make a lot testing behind. So something that is very important behind the yellow fruit than the red one is that the dusk. It's more hard, the yellow one, and the yellow one keep more sugar, more water in Mantiqueira, and also most of the varietals yellow is a bit more a later maturation. It's not so faster. This keep more sugar on the beans, so and it's more slowly. Slowly in Mantiqueira, like the maturation was more sweeteners, more clean than the red one. It's not that the red one don't have quality. So we have a couple of excellence winner, the red varietals, but easily find the 86 and 7 up for yellow one in Mantiqueira. And most is yellow Catucaí, that is a very good varietals, and the yellow Bourbon. So we take two varietals that is one of the best in Mantiqueira that bring the better result. Yeah.
Perfect, great question. So it's start. Anybody else got any other questions? I have some lined up if not. Yes?
I didn't know if you said, how's the elevation in Mantiqueira de Minas?
Sorry, I didn't say. So the coffee is starting between 1,000 and the highest place 1,530 meters. This is the top one, it's very high. Yeah, for Brazil.
Okay. Right, I'll ask you a couple of questions then. So looking at your stats, obviously this year, we saw the last couple of years the harvest has been down a little bit more. How's this year's harvest?
Harvest in Mantiqueira is at least 50% more than the last year. So we came 3 years with a big problem for after 2020, but it's not for only frosty, but was the dry weather. So it's the weather is very important for the Mantiqueira. This year around the 15%, but next year probably we'll have a very big crop. If it doesn't have El Niño or everything, that could impact. So, yeah.
Okay. And then also, so there was a really interesting graph, for me at least, on the quality and the changing of like how much better the better quality stuff is further on. But how has focusing on quality to you changed farmers' perceptions of growing coffee?
Yeah, special coffee is when the market is going up a lot, as the last 3 years is a big challenge because many producers not know the difference between the commercial grades and the special ones. So we need to tell them and the education then how is important to improve the quality for the over of the years. And so I can say that in Mantiqueira, always producers want to improve it, better and better quality. What they are doing, like investing in innovation, varieties, and the process as well. We don't show a lot about fermentation. We do sometimes for farmers because so they want to have some different coffees as well, for sure, for the flavors. But it's different than what we believe it behind denomination of origin, because when we studied 18 years the soil and the region to prove you that we have the unique coffee profile in Mantiqueira de Minas, especially in Brazil. Like if we do some fermentations, we change a bit. So we can't prove to you, we can't be sustainable on the quality and for the over of the years. So this is not so good to us, the reason that we do. But always they are searching for improvement behind the varietals, more than varietals, than the process. The process is just two, is pulp natural or natural. So we do our fermented. So we don't do a lot wash it in Mantiqueira and wash it tank. We have, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it's quite interesting that I've been out to see Barbara quite a few times, and the last time I went, the engagement you see with society as a whole seems to have really changed, and the focus on coffee is, I mean, we were saying before how many roasteries you've got in São Lourenço, coffee shops, coffee tours, coffee tourism. This is like really kind of, I don't know, for me, I was like, where did this all come from?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see. One other little quick point that you just mentioned on there when you talked about sustainability and going back to one point in your talk where you talked about the GPS.
Yeah.
I think one thing maybe you could just talk about a little bit in Mantiqueira is the law with the forest protection and the natural wildlife. Because I think Brazil, in Europe, we very often associate Brazil with the Amazon and the Amazon with deforestation. But that's very different to some of the producing areas, particularly in Mantiqueira, where there are legal protections for the forest and the wildlife. So what percentage of land does each farmer have to protect?
At least in Brazil it's 30%, but most of the Mantiqueiras has more than 40%. So we have a lot of forest in Mantiqueira that is important to us and the climate as well. And the GPS is something that will be very important because for us, the new regulation at Europe, so will help us and much more because we can show more what we are doing because we do it a long time. So we have a map in the area. This, I think, will help us more opportunity to grow in the special coffee because so as the new regulation for commercial area and commercial grade will be very difficult as a traceability behind the GPS. But for us, we insert the GPS on the tag, on the seal, so it's not enough. So it is not our obligation. We need to do. We must to have this one to you. So we need to show our traceability about the coffee. We believe that should be helping us a lot. So it's not difficult to us in Mantiqueira. So we are very far from everywhere. So we are on the mountain. We respect a lot the environmental for sure.
Perfect. Yes, Andrew.
One point I don't think you raised that much, but is interesting to me about Mantiqueira is that everything is harvested, or most of the coffee is harvested by hand.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously that's very different from lots of parts of Brazil. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges you've had and how you've tried to address them in terms of finding laborers?
Yeah, a big difficult. So this year was the most difficult because the labors in Brazil is it's very difficult to harvest because we have 95% of our region is harvest by hand. So most of the farmers sometimes start early, like they started 1 month ago, because they need to take some labors. They need to protect them for continue the harvest for not lost coffee in the end. So it's a big challenge for them. And the cost to produce coffee in Mantiqueira is very high. So especially for the labor, but also for every cost you have, like we have gas and everything to do at Mantiqueira is very expensive. So we need to invest on quality always, because if they don't do quality and they don't do a good pricey end for their coffees, they for sure could not be surviving. So, but this is a problem for nowadays for almost whole Brazil, because during the pandemic, government, I think, helping a lot in everywhere. So now most of the people is working or not working. So it's a big challenge. So it's gone. So it's gone well.
Okay, we've probably got time for a quick question. No? Oh yeah, one at the back.
Going back to the yellow and red varietals, when you're getting farmers to change, how do you do that practically without them losing money from, I guess they have to tear up their red varietal trees? Or
most of them, they are replacing some yard that is very old and it's not so productive. So they look on the farm some yards, and every year normally they change some yard. They cut down and they renovate some yard. They just make some option for the yellow one after they studied to improve, but we are not so. We give just some suggestion to them, but they already do some renovation. So, and for sure, any producers that want any help, any financial during this process, if they want to do, Cocarive is always open to do to them. So. That is a very, Cooperative is a producer company, so we need to manage it and we need to work for them, not for a private business.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thanks very much, Baba.
Oh, welcome.
Informative as ever. Thanks for
Thank you so much.